My name is Jasper Hofman. I'm a representative at the NHL Stenden University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands, of course. I'd like to start off with some information about education during the pandemic. It is important to realize that as an institution, as a public university in the Netherlands, we always follow the rules of the Dutch government, the health ministry, and education bodies. And since September 2020, we offer a blend of off and online learning, although realistically, in most cases, it's a large part of online learning. In some cases, it's even full 100%. Practical training, though, continues on site in a bit of an adjusted mode or limited, and of course, taking into account measures for hygiene, safety, and also capacity management. If you look at our campus at the moment, which I can't do because I'm working from home myself, it's very quiet over there. So there's not many interaction between staff and students, unfortunately. And of course, we do that for an obvious reason. So we've got very strict policies on and off campus. But for example, we also have started in 2020 with the so-called Student Success Center, which pays a lot of attention to student well-being, to additional counseling if needed during the pandemic, but it's obviously also a service we're going to maintain after this pandemic has ended. Pory already told you a bit about life in the Netherlands, I guess, and quarantine and such. I've not included slides in my particular presentation, but we can discuss afterwards if there are specific questions about that. What's probably more important for those of you who are attending this session is, what will education look like after the pandemic? Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but we expect more capacity already for on-campus education from around April onwards. That is, of course, if the situation keeps improving over the next couple of months, which can be expected also following last year's pattern, and also in particular due to the vaccination program, which has started in the Netherlands in early January. At the beginning, we were quite slow in implementing the vaccination program, but we worked our way up now and are now in the kind of not in the top 5 countries in the EU with best progress, but we're reaching them at the moment. So our Dutch health minister recently announced, I think it was earlier this week, that by July, everyone aged 18 years or older can be vaccinated. That means that people may have had 2 shots or 1 shot, and that means, of course, that we need a sufficient supply of vaccines. But it looks very different from a couple of weeks ago, which makes us also more positive in terms of our outlook for a September start. But also, like our Dutch health minister said himself, we can probably expect a fairly regular summer. So we're positive, but also cautious because this is something we still need to go through for the next couple of months. But I'm also hopeful on a personal level. So hopefully we can start in a pretty normal or even normal way in 21 with our academic year on campus. So still there will be some restrictions in place, I guess, because this virus after all hasn't left us also by September. What is probably interesting to mention that for those who want, because it's not mandatory in the Netherlands, students who are registered in the Netherlands as a student and who are registered also with the local municipality and have a health insurance have access to the vaccine as part of that health insurance package. Now, something more related to studying in the Netherlands. I know Dual and Education Association in Taiwan has already briefed you properly on studying in the Netherlands, but I prepared just one slide to highlight some aspects, of course, about the quality and reputation of education in the Netherlands, the English-speaking environment, the value of the degrees, both in terms of recognition, but also monetary value. If you compare fees at Dutch institutions, they're more realistic compared to UK, Australia, US, or Switzerland. That is also being recognized over the past decade by international students. We've now got more than 120,000 international students studying at about 50 different institutions in the Netherlands. We're spoiled for program choice. You can find kind of any program you're looking for in the Netherlands in English, maybe with the exception of nursing. We've got straightforward visa procedures in the Netherlands, and also have post-study work visas for at least 12 months for those who complete an undergrad, postgrad, or PhD program in the Netherlands. Some facts and figures about NHL Stenden. We're a top 3 University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands, according to domestic applied sciences rankings. And it is important to realize that the University of Applied Sciences is not very identical to what people perceive to be a university. We provide academic learning, but also the hands-on application. So it's more hands-on than learning at a traditional university, which also makes sure that what you're learning is very relevant for your future industry. So the projects you're working on, the cases you're working on are very industry related. And Pory can probably give a few examples later on, or has done so already, how that impacts her studies. We're a public university, and in general, public in the Netherlands means that we're well-resourced and well-recognized, and public in the Netherlands also means that we're a good university. We've got about 23,000 students in our campuses, 24,000 at the moment, almost, I think, about 3,000 of them currently are international students coming from around 85 or 90 different nationalities. A very important feature for undergraduate students is the mandatory internship during bachelor's degree program. So that again is also linked to the fact that we are providing academic learning, but also the hands-on skills part. So you're going to do an internship as a bachelor's student to put into practice what you've already learned on campus. We've got modern, top-notch facilities on campus. I'm going to show you a few pictures during this presentation as well about those. This is probably not modern and top-notch, but this is an icon of Dutch culture and architecture. I think we're the only Dutch university with an actual windmill on campus, so you don't need to go to what's it called, Kinderdijk, to watch beautiful windmills. We've got one on campus, a restored one actually, which is also being used as a convention center, small convention center, for our corporate meetings, for example, on campus. This is the main campus ground in Leeuwarden, and one of the buildings which is used for teaching is in the background. This is the other building. So NHL and Stenden used to be 2 separate universities until about 3 years ago when we merged. So we already shared the same campus ground for about 30 years. So NHL and Stenden have joined forces in 2018. That's why you see 2 kind of different types of architecture on campus. And this is the former Stenden building, beautifully restored, but also modern facility. We have very green, spacious environment over there. This is where you can find our campuses. I just referred to Leeuwarden, which is where our main campus is based, but it's not the only campus we have in the Netherlands. It is our largest, though. All our postgrad programs in English are offered in Leeuwarden, and also the majority of our English-taught undergraduate programs are offered in Leeuwarden. But next to Leeuwarden, we have campuses in Groningen and Meppel for our undergrad teaching programs. And we also have a campus in Emmen, very close to the border with Germany, for bachelor programs in IT, logistics, marketing, and also business. So Netherlands being a fairly small country, it's going to take you about 2 hours by train to get from any of our campus sites to Amsterdam Capital Airport, for example. And the distance between the cities of Leeuwarden and Groningen is about 45 minutes by train, to give you an example of what traveling in the Netherlands is like. So you don't need to overcome huge distances or time gaps. Traveling, as Pory can also probably confirm, is very easily done in the Netherlands. Our international network. We're a Dutch university, but not purely Dutch. We also have campus sites in other parts of the world. At present, we've got 4 overseas campuses in South Africa, in Qatar, in Bali, Indonesia, and also in Bangkok and Thailand. And our undergraduate students have the opportunity to spend a semester at one of these overseas campuses for their so-called minors, which are specialization subjects during the third year of a bachelor program. So it's elective, it's not mandatory. You can go to one of those sites to learn about a very specific topic in a different cultural and educational environment, but still enjoying the same teaching quality and teaching methods, basically, as you'll be doing in the Netherlands. Next to overseas campus sites, bachelor students also have the opportunity to do an exchange with partner universities in Europe or other parts of the world. This opportunity does not exist at present for master students, also related to the duration of the programs. Bachelor program has a duration of either 4 or in some cases 3 years. Master programs only a duration of 1 year, which kind of limits the opportunities to spend time abroad. But this is a unique international network where we benefit from, our students benefit from, but also staff, like myself, for example. We have the opportunity to spend time at an overseas campus to teach over there, whereas our teaching faculty from Thailand or South Africa or Bali also has the opportunity to teach in the Netherlands for a shorter or longer period of time. So huge student and staff mobility is taking place between campuses, creating a very international mix and an international dynamic culture, unique offer of our university in the Netherlands. This slide provides an overview of our undergraduate programs. There are 11 undergraduate programs which are fully English taught, ranging from business to hospitality, creative business, business administration, tourism, leisure and events, logistics, IT, marketing, and 2 unique teacher education programs preparing you for a teaching position in an international primary or secondary schools. Now, all these programs start in September, and the upper 6 programs listed here also have a start in February. Fees are identical for all these 11 programs. There are 8,350 euros for non-EU passport holders. Our board has decided to freeze the fees for the 21 intake compared to 2020. EU students, because they're entitled to the same rights as Dutch students, pay almost 2,200 euros per annum. You see your logo on the right top side of the slide. It means they're NVAO accredited programs, which means they are accredited by the Dutch government, meeting the quality standards of these programs and of our government, of course. This is something which is very interesting to learn a bit more about, but difficult to apply or to explain in words. It's our teaching method. It's a design-based education centered around the idea of design thinking. Basically, it means in practice that predominantly our undergraduate students work in small groups, interdisciplinary and intercultural groups on specific projects and ideas being developed for and with the industry. So this is very different from traditional university learning, where it's more about self-study and attending lectures, being lectured by an expert professor. It's more hands-on. It's more hands-on style of learning. Obviously, you need to study your books and attend lectures in order to capture a certain level of knowledge. But then it's also about the application in reality. And we've already our students have been able actually to launch some very interesting initiatives and products also for the industry through this design-based education philosophy. And it really prepares you in probably the best possible way for your future field of work. Another very important feature of our school of NHL Stenden are our so-called learning companies we have on our campuses. I'm showing you here the Notice Hotel, which is our 4-star hotel on our campus in Leeuwarden, which is probably the most striking example of a learning company at NHL Stenden. Our hotel management students benefit from this hotel by also having practical training here in this particular hotel. And it's a real hotel in this case. So it's a commercial hotel run and operated by our own students, supervised by experts from the hotel industry. It's a 36-room hotel, recently reopened after an upgrade which took place in the second half of last year. Other programs in NHL Stenden also have learning companies on site or access to learning companies outside the campus environment. Think, for example, of an IT lab we have in our in Amman campus for undergrad students, and we also have a media studio for our students in creative business. Teaching and teacher education, we don't have facilities on campus, but they have the students who are in a teaching program, for example, they will do teacher training already in an international school during the first year of their program in order to also get industry-related experience next to the academic experience. This is how a room looks like. I've not been able yet to see one through my own eyes because, you know, I mentioned I'm working from home, but this is a major difference to what it looked like before, which was already a very nice hotel and hotel room. So it's also a great opportunity in the future again for parents who are looking to guide their offspring to the Netherlands, to spend a couple of nights here in the hotel during the first couple of days of arrival of your son or daughter, and you know, spend some time to relax in Leeuwarden and get to know the environment around. Admission requirements for four-year bachelors, they're actually quite straightforward. Taiwanese students, we require them to have a senior high school diploma and IELTS 6 or higher for direct entry into the four-year bachelor's programs. There's no need to attend any type of foundation program if you have those two requirements in place. In case you have a senior high school diploma, but for example, have an IELTS score of 5 or 5.5, you can join our English language preparatory course for a semester or 2 semesters. We don't require very specific subject requirements, which may sound a bit strange, but that's a result of Dutch higher education law. In general, universities of applied sciences don't have very strict subject requirements for their courses. Of course, if you want to go into engineering, you need maths, but for a business degree or a hospitality degree or for logistics, for example, there are no specific subject requirements. You just need to make sure that you meet an overall standard, which you'll meet by having your senior high school diploma. The application deadlines we apply for our September and February intake respectively are June and November 1st. We also have a couple of 3-year programs, which are kind of accelerated programs leading to the same degree as the 4-year programs. They are hospitality management, creative business, and tourism management. These are the only programs which have a 3-year version of their 4-year program. Programs only start in September in the case if they are a 3-year program, and the fees are identical to those of the 4-year program. So they're academically more intense, so they also require you to have a, let's say, a better, stronger pre-academic preparation. And at present, we do, for example, not recognize the senior high school diploma from Taiwan as a sufficient diploma for admission into that particular program. But for example, if you have an IB diploma or completed three A levels at least with ABC as a score, you will be eligible for admission. Also, IELTS 6 applies as an entry level for English proficiency here, and all these 3-year programs have a course-specific selection procedure and an earlier deadline compared to the 4-year programs because there is selection in place here. Master programs in NHL Stenden. Well, obviously, we have way more master programs than these, but these are the ones we provide in English. So they are hospitality and service management, tourism, leisure and events, and also content and media strategy, which is a fairly new master program in NHL Stenden. I think the first year we started offering this program was 2018 or perhaps 17. So only a couple of years old, and it's also the only program as such available in the Netherlands, based on a very strong industry demand by media organizations or companies in general for content and media specialists who are able to develop and execute a content and media strategy. So there's high industry demand typically for these kinds of professionals, and what I mentioned, a unique program in the Netherlands and also beyond. The other two master programs are already part of our DNA for many, many years. I would almost say decades. Hospitality and service management, tourism, leisure, and events in fields in which we are top ranked in the Netherlands, and also have some very interesting research institutions on campus, such as the European Tourism Future Institute, but also the Center of Expertise for Leisure, Tourism, and Hospitality. So, whereas these master programs are also more practical than master programs at research universities, there is obviously a solid research component in these master programs. Fees for these programs are 11,800 euros per year. Also, in this case, a fee freeze compared to last year. Programs have a duration of 1 year typically, and start only in September. So these programs do not have an intake in February. In order to be admitted to one of the master programs, we prefer students to have a related bachelor degree. So in hospitality, tourism, economics, business, media, communication, and such. And the English requirement is IELTS 6 or higher. We also ask students to submit a motivation letter, and a selection interview can be part of the selection procedure. In particular, if you have a background which is, for example, not exactly related to the set admission requirements. I'm saying so because we also admit students with a slightly different background to the ones that we publish on our website. So we kind of select students for admission based on individual merits. Work experience is not a prerequisite for any master program, though it helps you, if you have work experience, to better contextualize the content of the academic content of the program. For example, an internship in a particular industry is also perceived as being very, very helpful to to have a quick start into the program. Application deadline is June 1st, same as for the undergraduate students. So you still have a couple of months in case you're interested in 21 to get the ball rolling. I already mentioned something about pre-bachelor and pre-master English language courses. Those we have if you meet the academic requirements, but still need to improve your English proficiency skills. We offer this facility through our English language center. We've got over 15 years of experience already in second language teaching. So a very committed team of lecturers is working here to help students, to improve English, but also settle in a new culture and education system. So what you learn in these programs goes beyond, to a certain extent, just pure English learning. But also study skills, in particular academic study skills, are an important part of the pre-master program. In one of the previous slides, I mentioned that getting a visa to study in the Netherlands is quite straightforward. Actually, we always get a lot of questions about the visa. NHL Stenden is a recognized sponsor of the Dutch Immigration Services, which means that we apply for your visa on your behalf. Typically, it's a 2 to 3 or 4 weeks procedure, and it's done by us, provided, of course, you're admitted and you've paid your tuition fees plus an amount of 11,000 euros, which is a visa refundable deposit fee. It also allows us to prove to the immigration services that we're applying for a visa on behalf of somebody who is financially capable of sustaining their studies in the Netherlands. This fee, 11,000 euros, is refundable upon arrival in the Netherlands, subject to having opened a Dutch bank account, which is quite easy as soon as you've got registered and arrived properly in the Netherlands. At first, you'll receive an entry visa, which allows you to travel to the Netherlands. But then if you register in the Netherlands, you will turn it into a residence permit, which is valid for the entire duration of your study program, as long as you make sufficient study progress. Visa doesn't allow you to work. For that, you would need a separate work permit, which would allow you then to work up to 16 hours per week. But that work permit needs to be applied for by your potential employer, should you be looking into part-time job options at all when arriving in the Netherlands. At the moment, international students traveling into the Netherlands are also exempted from travel restrictions. So despite the Corona travel restrictions we have in place, international students are able to come and arrive in the Netherlands. Of course, you'll be asked then to go into quarantine for 10 or 14 days at the moment, which is something differently organized in Taiwan. I believe Duval once told me a bit about it, how it works in Taiwan, and in the Netherlands it's more like your own responsibility. You'll find as soon as you arrive that quite a lot of things are actually your own responsibility, which could technically mean that you're not, no one is basically checking on you if you go into quarantine or not, but it's a responsibility you should be handling yourself. So these are one of the interesting, probably cultural differences between your country and ours. There are some financial aid programs in place. We don't have any full scholarships or anything related, but for our undergraduate students, not for the postgraduates, unfortunately, we have a few scholarships programs in place. And we've also seen Taiwanese students in the past securing one of these scholarships. First of all, there's the Holland Scholarship program, which is an entry scholarship with a value of 5,000 euros, applicable to bachelor applicants who apply and enroll in September 21. We award this Holland Scholarship to about 15 students, depending on the availability of scholarships, and we select them based on high school GPA, English proficiency, and also an additional motivation